Hello and welcome to Rainy Tuesdays, a podcast by friends for friends. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Oh, and Hayley is our guest this week.
Hi.
Margot and I'm here, back from the dead.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's been, I know we're supposed to introduce ourselves, and we do, but for some reason I was like, people know. No, a brand new guest.
You chose the one when we had a guest. Yeah, it's been on here before.
I have.
That's true.
But not in the
not one
video
with me,
format.
though.
That's true. Yeah.
All good points.
Totally different experience.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Fair. What have you guys been up to? Finals and stuff?
Just finals. Finished finals
Fair.
yesterday. Glad to be done. Long semester.
Fair. Yeah.
I went back to school and got my stuff
Nice.
today. Yeah.
Very
Very
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Did you?
We love that.
Were you not in person?
Everyone else was. I wasn't.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. It's weird like going back to campus when you like haven't been there for a while, but other people have. I like had to do that because of COVID stuff too, and it was just odd because like everyone's just there, and you're like, you guys all have lives. What?
It was so. I looked through everyone's like semester 1 photo dump, and I was like, "You guys had a semester?
Oh my God, what?
Crazy.
Couldn't be me. Oh my God. Very fair. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's been anything like fun in the news. They picked actors for Azula, Suki, and someone else. I want to say someone else. I forget who. In the live action Avatar.
Oh,
But I
did
know it
not
was 3
see.
people, and I only remember 2.
What were your thoughts on them?
I think they all looked great.
Nice.
I think it seems like an appropriate age given the other actors. And they all like I think the only problem with casting someone for Azula is that it's going to take like the hair and makeup to make them look like bitchy enough. Because the actress looks very sweet. Like she looks like a very nice person. And
She
like I
doesn't
don't
look like a
want to
normal
look at
person,
her
she
and
doesn't look
think she
evil.
looks mean, right? And so it is gonna take like the hair and makeup for that one to like click. But I think like she looks perfect for the role. It's just like, she's gotta get like a mean face going. In the headshot where she's just like smiling, like, hey guys. Isn't it? Yeah.
It was Suki's mom was the other person, which I don't
Wait,
think is
who?
Suki's mom. I don't think is
Oh.
ever in the show.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Gran was cast.
Okay, nice.
An
Fair.
essential role.
For sure. She's there for like 2 episodes.
Is she even?
I think it is 2 episodes, maybe. And or just the first episode. She's for sure in 1.
She might be in the very first, but I don't think it's beyond that.
Fair. Yeah. Oh well. Well, so much happens in the first episode.
That's true.
Crazy 22 minutes.
Because don't they leave the South Pole like in
At
that
the end.
episode? So
Yeah, which is what I was forgetting because I
lot.
was kind of thinking that it was at the beginning of the second episode that they were like, "Okay, bye everyone," but I don't think it is.
I think the second episode is the Kyoshi Warriors.
You could easily be right. No one's telling you you're wrong here.
I don't know. We could check, but why bother?
No. That's not this kind of podcast.
Never. Couldn't be.
No. Fair. Well, Adam, you had a beef with the world.
I don't know about the world. So there was this video recently put out a few weeks ago that was called an appropriately unhinged recap of Pretty Little Liars. I watched the first couple episodes of Pretty Little Liars and immediately backed out for one big reason, which is the topic of this podcast. A very inappropriate age relationship between the main character, one of Arya, a 16-year-old girl, and her teacher, who is 24, I think, and his name is
Something
Ezra.
like that.
And they hook up in the first episode, and then start dating shortly thereafter. I think in the second episode. And in the video that I watched, this is very throughout Pretty Little Liars. Pretty much every character, every 16-year-old girl or younger character dates a mid-20s guy who usually knows how old they are. And then there's other ones like 40, 50-year-old guys dating like college students as well. So I guess the topic of the podcast is how frequently inappropriate age relationships are portrayed as healthy in media, particularly aimed at teenage girls.
Very fair.
Because we could think of so many. We were talking beforehand about example after example.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Absolutely. And like the Pretty Little Liars one, it's tough to talk about because like on one hand, obviously it portrays a lot of unhealthy stuff, but on the other hand, people are also getting like locked in like torture dungeons that look like dollhouses. And so you're like, you kind of forget about like the realistic like messed up stuff, which is the relationships. But there is like a lot of inappropriate ones. Even like, so there's the Arya and her teacher. In the same like season, there's one of the other main girls, Spencer, and her older sister's either boyfriend or fiance, who's college age.
Ex-fiance. I have a list.
Oh, ex-fiance. Oh, okay, good.
So,
oh my god.
Ezra, the teacher, dates two girls. Arya, 16, and he dates Allison, 15. Spencer, one of the other main characters, she's 16. She starts dating her older sister's ex-fiance, who is mid-20s. Spencer then dates another mid-20s guy who was also engaged to her sister. His name's
We love
Ren.
that.
Ren also dated one of the other main characters, 16-year-old girl named Hannah. Allison dated, the 15-year-old also dated a detective in his 30s. Jenna, another character, I think she's the blind one, dated this guy mid-20s.
No, that's... Wait.
Jenna's the blind one.
Jenna and Mona are the ones I get confused literally all the time. Jenna is the blind one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dated a police officer who was in his mid-20s, and then Arya dated a different guy, Jason, also in his mid-20s. And there are probably more than that, but that was this quick list on this article I found.
And like something interesting to note too is that like a lot of the like appropriate age relationships end because the men are like somehow involved with and so it's like even the ones that are their age, like the boys are like stalking them and stuff. And so it's like that's tough. It's a really messed up show.
It's pretty bad.
But it was though like huge. Like huge. Like that was the like teen girl show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends watched it religiously, and it was really popular. So I guess that was the big, now looking back, what was crazy is how the show consistently was like, these are the relationships you should root for. And in the video I watched, it talked about how if a character spoke out about the relationship, like Ezra and Arya, the teacher one, and it was like, this is bad and illegal, they were evil for doing so.
Yeah, they were like made into villains for whatever episode. Yeah. It's insane. It's like really, really crazy. Oh man.
But like a lot of like Gossip Girl did it too. I only watched the first few episodes of Gossip Girl, but I guess in this article, Blair hooks up with some adult guy. Serena dates her professor.
Yeah. Nate, who's one of the main guys in that, also dates like an older woman that he meets on vacation somewhere.
Oh yeah, that was listed as well.
Yeah. So it's like it's all over. And we were talking before in Dawson's Creek that Pacey and his teacher. I forget how that one ends.
They definitely break up.
Right.
I think she ends it with him, and he's like
Okay.
pining after her for a really long time and like trying to
Hmm.
win her back.
Gross.
Very, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hot
Fair
take,
enough.
it was
Fair enough.
kind of weird.
I
Like,
mean, it's like a bit strange. Oh man. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think that it's like so like part of me wants to like automatically say, oh, it's like men in Hollywood writing it being like fantasizing that their
Yeah,
age.
that's
But
what I thought as well. But Pretty
like
Little Liars is written by a woman.
it's
yeah.
written by women.
So
Yeah.
like it's based on a book series written by a woman, and then the show's written by a different woman. Like so that's what I
Yeah.
thought as well. That I was like, okay,
Mhm.
creepy guys because it's problematic age differences is so
Like a wish
common in
fulfillment
Hollywood,
thing.
and
Right.
of course men would maybe because it's so common they don't even necessarily think about how bad it is, given the benefit of the
Uh-huh.
doubt. But probably they do, and kind of this wish fulfillment thing. So,
Yeah.
but that's not always the case. Or you had talked about Twilight as well, having a grooming and
Yeah.
obviously vampire relationships. I think are not great since they're hundreds of years old dating teenagers.
Sure,
Here's
sure,
the
sure.
thing. I did consider that when like going over this topic, and I can't say that I disagree with you. I could say that some people might due to the fact that his brain doesn't mature. So it's not like
Everybody
he's
I've brought
even
it up with
matured.
has disagreed with me because I point out like
I
Buffy
wouldn't
and
disagree with it.
Twilight and Vampire Diaries, but
Yeah. Ugh, Vampire Diaries.
That one's tough. I watched there's Jenny Nicholson on YouTube has like a 2.5 hour video on
yeah,
Vampire
I
Diaries.
started it.
I've never seen the show. I've watched that entire video and now I feel like I have seen the show.
That's on my
It's
list. After I
very
watched the Pretty Little
yeah.
Liars video, like the guy explicitly was like, "This is made because I saw the Vampire Diaries video," and was like, "Well, I have to watch
Mhm.
the Pretty Little Liars." So I was like, "I should watch the
Yeah.
Vampire Diaries video." So,
It's
but
really
it's
well done.
long.
It's really
I'll do it
long.
someday.
Um but yeah, wait, so what was the grooming one in Twilight, Haley?
So first there's Jacob and Renesmee. So right, Renesmee is the literal newborn baby, and she's
Infant.
like his
Right.
soulmate, and he's like 16.
Hmm.
But the lore is that werewolves don't age until their soulmate is their age, and then they age together. So he waits for her to get to maturity, but he's gonna like be with her throughout that. There's that one. The other
There's like
one
a really
is
gross like Christmas scene in the movie where it's
yeah,
like all the couples and
and
this like literal like almost adult man like because isn't he older at that point
he'd
or
be
is he
like
still
17
16?
at that point.
Okay, yeah, it was like 17 and like a like 8-year-old looking kind of child and it was gross. Didn't like it. Could have done without it. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, so there's that one. That's the main one. But it's just like briefly mentioned that Carlisle, he's like the head vampire. He's like 500 years old by the time that the series starts. But the way he met his wife was like he was like her family's doctor or something. So he like grew watched her grow up and waited for her to grow into maturity, and then she like died and he like saved her. I think that's how it went.
Disturbing.
Very
Yeah,
disturbing.
very, very.
Not a fan.
No, I can't think of anyone who was.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay, wait. Just to expand on the vampire thing though, like I do think like wait, how does his mind not mature?
Because like he is not physically getting older at all. So like his brain isn't mature.
Hmm.
It's not physically maturing. Like he might have some wisdom from his years of existence, but like
Sure.
physically his brain is not more mature than hers. I
Okay.
guess I it sounds like I'm playing devil's advocate and I'm not that's not my goal.
No, you're kidding. You're
But
kidding.
like
It does make a
yeah.
little bit of sense to be like, okay, well, the lore of the thing of vampires, like if they die and then are resurrected, I think that works in Twilight. I don't know, but
Sorta, yeah.
that they're stuck at that age and wouldn't progress past.
Yeah.
But I would
Mhm.
still argue that since they're hundreds of years old, while they might
a little,
physically be
like-
the same,
Right.
in fact, that makes them old enough for it to be very creepy.
That's
I do
fair.
also think it's odd that like the Twilight in particular vampires don't just do like college. Like I think it's just a bit Like,
No,
why
they
did they have
do.
to keep doing high school? Oh, okay.
They do college. Like they each have multiple degrees. So like when they move
Good for
somewhere, they
them.
each start at a certain grade and then they go
Hmm.
up through they all graduate college and then they move and start again.
Gotcha.
Fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. I take it back. Stephanie Meyer is on top of all of it. Oh my god. Wait, what were you gonna say, Adam?
Just about the vampire relationships, I find them very creepy, but it's pretty much every vampire novel has this massive age gap. And I
Right.
think you can defend it in that it's more obviously fictional, so that you
Right.
wouldn't like, yeah, there's this age gap, but it's not like factoring into it, you would argue,
Yeah.
as opposed to something like Pretty Little Liars, which ostensibly takes place in the real world.
Uh-huh.
And these are real people, and so it's different,
Yeah.
one could say.
And we were talking before too about like the hypocrisy even within just Pretty Little Liars, because like Arya's dad is like a professor and he cheats with a college student on her mom. And then she's like, wow, my dad sucks. Like how could he do something like that? And then dates her teacher. Which is just a little strange. Bit odd.
I think Arya's kind of the villain here.
I mean, if we're all being honest, I do think she is kind of like, this is just a side note about the show itself. I feel like she is like the main character of season 1, at
Yeah.
least. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I know it's like 4 people, but
Did you guys watch the whole show?
No.
I only watched like the first 2 seasons and then I stopped.
I watched 1 season.
It's fair.
More experience
never
than
gets
me.
better.
The video I watched covered seasons 1, 2, and the beginning of 3, so
Okay.
we all have the same level of experience.
Yeah.
Relatively.
My
all see the
2-hour
same
video
amount
is
here.
equivalent to watching 2 seasons.
Oh man. Fair. Yeah, I don't know. I think so like I was trying to think of other examples and I think like the Cruel Summer one from earlier this year, which like by the way, got way too much hype. I don't know if either of you watched the show.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, it was a show. And basically it was like this girl goes missing and uh then she's found. But then she
Okay.
like she like claims that another girl in town like saw her while she was kidnapped and didn't do anything about it.
Mhm.
And so it takes place like each episode has 3 different years in an episode because it's supposed to be like before the girl went missing or like while she was missing, um right when she was found kind of timeline, and then a year after she's like suing the girl who may or may not have seen her kind of thing. And so it's just like it's a mystery kind of thing, but it's just like kind of janky in my opinion, but it got like a lot of hype this year. But it is a bit convoluted. And so they do have like the girl that went missing, she got kidnapped by her principal. And it's not even her teacher, which like not to say that teachers are better, but it is just like how much did you guys talk with your principals?
Not much.
Never.
Like very little.
They did the assemblies, and then I think that's the only time I ever saw them.
Right. And so it's just like it's just even weirder to me. Like they're kind of just basically strangers. But anyway, so I think that like it it was like a grooming situation at first, but then she was like, "Wait, this is a bit creepy, sir. You're like my principal, and I'm living with you, and that should be odd to others." And then he was like, "I'm gonna kidnap you." And so it's like for the first bit, it's portrayed as like, "Oh man, what a romantic guy, like saving me from my like tough situation at home." Like letting me like stay with him and everything like that. And then it gets to be like, oh wow, he's a villain. But I just like it feels so icky. And I realize that it's supposed to be like from her point of view kind of thing for the romanticized parts, but it is just like not creepy enough for me. Like I feel like there should still be like creepy aspects that like the audience could pick up on, instead of it just being like obviously you know it's creepy because he's her principal,
Yeah.
and like you're sitting here thinking that, but it's like so romanticized that you're watching it and being like, oh, he's helping a girl out.
Yeah, I think that's like my biggest problem with these types of things is that they are romanticized and that like we can sit here and be like, well, yeah, obviously terrible. But for people who are younger and not as experienced, they might not realize that. And if the show doesn't take strides to have people point out how bad it is, then you won't know it is.
Yeah.
So like it could still be portrayed as long like because I was thinking for modern examples in Riverdale, Archie dates his teacher or hooks up. Maybe I don't know if they date.
I think he wants to date, but she's like, buddy, it was just sex.
Regardless, illegal.
Yeah.
But in the show, it's portrayed as a predatory, creepy thing. So
Yeah.
at least that's better than portraying it and being like, oh, aren't they so cute?
But I will say that even the end of that though, it's Betty's mom that like calls it out kind of thing and is like, hey, you need to like leave this town. I can't believe you're creeping on our children. And she's absolutely portrayed as a villain in that moment for like reading Betty's diary. And like I know like she shouldn't read her daughter's diary, but it's like that takes more of like a villainous role than the fact that someone is having sex with a teenager in like a position of power over them. And so it's like I don't know that like even that one has its like problems because
I
it's
guess I
not
was thinking
really called out.
she gets murdered later on.
She does.
But she gets murdered as like a like ethical thing because she was hooking up with another 16-year-old in like the town over, and so the like serial killer kills her because she's a bad person. So at least it's like
the serial killer was Betty's dad.
What a time.
What a show Riverdale is.
What a show
Have
Riverdale.
you guys seen clips from their latest seasons?
Yes.
I don't watch it. I just keep seeing like videos where they're just like, here's what's happening in Riverdale. And it's like the weirdest shit.
I keep seeing TikToks, but like this is what just happened in Riverdale, and I don't know if they're serious or not because it's just crazy nonsense, and you're like,
yeah,
it could be. I have no comprehension of what could be on the show and what can't.
And I don't think I could sit through to find out.
No,
like...
in fact, I tried the most recent season because it's Sabrina the Teenage Witch is on one of the episodes. So I was like, oh, it's like a 6-episode season. So I was like, I'll just watch this one. And I started watching the first, and I was like, not only is it weird, it's also bad. Like the writing is bad. That they're not acting that well.
Yeah,
like, this is not enjoyable to sit through.
That's fair. I think it really just should have been one season and one season only kind of thing.
The first season is really good.
It's really well done. I stand by that. Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed season 3.
I don't know that
hinting at whether there's supernatural elements or not, and although they never committed, the entire season they're like, but maybe there's demons. Maybe.
Oh.
And I was hooked.
Fair. Oh my god. I feel like there was gonna be I had other ones to bring up and then now I can't remember them. So that's a whoops on my end. I don't know. I
was gonna broaden. Oh, you want to talk about after? Go.
Just real quick. So Hayley and I watched this one day. And I feel like you know more about it than I do. If you want to do the like rundown of how it came about.
How After came about?
Yeah.
Basically, I think it was like maybe 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, that was when One Direction was absolutely taking over the world, as it should have. and and this woman wrote a fan fiction about Harry Styles as a college student, and he's just like the most abusive, manipulative, gaslighting boyfriend, and it's completely romanticized. He's also, I think he's a senior while she's a freshman, so it's like kind of weird.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily illegal, but it's weird, and maybe we shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, he treats her horribly, and like their whole relationship is based off of like a joke or like a
Mm-hmm.
dare, and the book goes into like way worse detail than the movie does, so I don't want to get into that because it's like gross, but like the movie he just is it's just bad.
Yeah, it was like not only like one, the movie itself is just bad. Like
Mhm.
it's very just poorly edited and stuff. Like you're just kind of sitting there watching it just being like, "Wait, this is like a real movie." Like this wasn't like something that was like submitted just for fun to something. I don't know. This is like a real thing. This like got produced, like kind of thing. But
Uh-huh.
also, yeah, he's just awful, and it's so weird to me because it's like obviously we have like that kind of trend in rom-coms forever of like, oh, the guy's a bit of a jerk, and then
Mhm.
like he gets better kind of thing. But this guy doesn't. Um,
Yeah,
he doesn't get better.
I don't know if either of you were on Wattpad in like 2013 or 2014.
I would never disgrace myself by going on Wattpad.
You were just fanfiction.com.
Fanfics.net, AO3.
Oh, okay. I thought you were hating on fanfiction in general, and I was
No,
like,
I love
okay, I
fanfiction.
just like won't talk about that last point. But like in
I just
2013 and
don't like Wattpad's
2014,
format.
that's definitely fair. But Wattpad, like during that time, almost every story, like the man is just like either he hits her or he cheats on her or just like awful, awful things, or he comes home drunk every night. But like the thing that was like so romanticized about it was the day after, where like he feels horrible and he wants to make it up to her and make her feel better. So like I think that's what was supposed to play into after, was like making her feel better and making
Sure,
up for it and being sorry.
right. And it
But
never
I mean,
happened.
it never happened. So it's not even
Yeah.
like, obviously it would have been awful with that, but it's
Yes.
like even more so.
Right. To be clear,
It's like
abuse is bad even if you
that's
apologize
kind
for
of
it.
textbook abusive relationship that they'll
Yeah.
hit you or
It's
do
like
something
love bombing,
terrible and then
right?
like feel really bad and be
Yeah.
like, oh no, I'll get better, and then they never do because it just keeps
Yeah.
going.
So it's
Uh-huh.
not she's not getting any love.
No. It's just abuse.
And I googled this. This is 3 movies are made from
Yeah.
Yeah,
after.
I
I
think
just
they're
watched the
still
third
going.
one.
Oh my god.
They have a fourth one coming out like beginning of next year.
You know another example? Kissing Booth.
Ew.
Kissing Booth
Yeah,
is a great example.
Yeah.
I
Because
only
it's like
saw the
the
first
older
one.
brother trope.
Hmm.
And like all you need is the first one because he's just like he's horribly like angry. Like he has anger problems. And I don't think he hits her in it at all. Yeah, he doesn't hit her, but his little brother thinks that he might have, and that
Yeah,
should be enough to tell you everything
Yeah.
you need to know. Um
Yeah. He never hits her, but he does like hit objects and yell at her. Like he hits the car and yells at her,
yeah,
which is
oh,
a red flag.
yeah.
big red flag.
Yeah.
Um yeah. And people are like love that. And I don't get it. Um
No.
yeah. So, what a time.
And I think that's like part of the problem is that the people love them, but then they're all of these big rom-com and portrayals of relationships use these tropes that are abusive or stalking or something, and you're supposed to
Mhm.
like even Stranger Things, a pretty new show. The Jonathan and then Nancy. Jonathan stalks
Yeah.
her in the first season and like takes really creepy pictures, and then you're like, oh, and now they're in love.
It's
But it's still
creepy.
really creepy,
Like I
and I
feel
feel
like
like you
no
just
one ever talked about that
yeah,
ever
No
again.
one
As soon
did.
as they got together, everyone loved them, and no one mentioned the fact that he did that weird messed up
no,
thing.
It's
I hated it.
super messed up. Yeah. Ooh, super creepy. Not a fan. Uh-huh.
But it's like
Yeah.
it's so common that the relationship you're supposed to root for is the one that's objectively really
Horrible.
unhealthy and dangerous even.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know.
But it creates this spiral, I think, that because that's what you see in media, and maybe if you don't have good, healthy relationships in your real life, you don't know what you're supposed to be looking for, and then you might look for that type of relationship or fantasize or romanticize that type because that's all you know.
And I mean, especially when you're young, because you've never had that sort of relationship. So,
Yeah.
like, I was 12 thinking that I was supposed to be dating a 25-year-old watching Pretty Little Liars. And it's like,
Mhm.
actually, you're not. That's so silly.
You're just so goofy.
I was so
Like-
goofy.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's definitely fair. I think it's just like it's really messed up, but it's also just like you don't hear enough like for the actors themselves to talk out against it. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys watched 13 Reasons Why or not.
A little
Okay.
bit.
Okay. So in like the first season, there's the Bryce guy and he is like the rapist and like this terrible person, right? In later seasons, they like really try to humanize him, like a ton. And it's like really interesting because everyone was like hating on him and like the actor himself, like when he was just a villain, as he should have been, but like everyone was like hating on the actor himself and he's like, guys, I am like separate from my role, like let's like please
Chill
don't like
out.
send me death threats because I played a character kind of
Mhm.
thing. But then like a lot of people were starting to be like, it was like a split camp where people were like, one, why are you humanizing this character, like he's supposed to be an objectively terrible human being, and for you to make us try to like feel bad for this guy is really sickening. But then the other people were like, oh my God, this poor guy, like no wonder he got into situations like that and like stuff like that. And so like the actor had to be like, guys, don't do that. Let's go back to sending me death threats. Like
Or
it was
even Joe from You. That's like how it was with him, because
great
every girl was in
example.
love with him.
Yeah. I hate that show. Side note, I don't know if you
I do
guys like
too.
it or not. Okay, thank God.
I don't know
Um
what it is.
okay, it's basically this guy, you hear his thoughts. He's like a psychopath, like serial killer kind
Okay.
of guy, like legitimately.
Okay.
And but you like hear his thoughts throughout it. And so the show itself without his like voiceover is really awkward because it's just him like staring for a long time at something. But like with him with the voiceovers, it's like I feel like she would look really good dead.
Yikes.
Like that's the whole show. And it's bad.
But like the way it started kind of romanticizing it. I know that wasn't the point, but like you see him, he meets a girl, and so he's like
Right.
analyzing her and wanting to get to know her more. You see him stalking her social media. You see him like trying to find where she lives. And like people were genuinely like, oh, he just loves her so
He like
much. He's so
really loves her.
infatuated.
Yeah.
It was
And
really
like
gross.
and I think it's because it started out with like the social media thing. Like it started with
Yeah.
him having a meet cute and him being like, I've seen you around here before, kind of thing, in his creepy little killer mind voices.
Hmm.
And then he's like on her social media being like, wouldn't have expected that of you, kind of thing. And then like it just increasingly gets more and more into the thing. But I think like because they started at that point, a lot of people were like, I stalk people's social media. So like, it's like
Yeah.
so relatable, and it's like, honey, at some point you should realize that that's not the same. Um, yeah,
Which I wouldn't fault the show for that, because I understand it like storytelling wise, like you're seeing him like you're understanding that he is a
right.
psychopath, but
Mhm.
like it was just bad. The audience did not take it well.
No,
That was our
yeah,
bad. Sorry guys.
that's on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Netflix's fault, but yeah,
That happens a lot too, where the fans of a show will take a relationship that is clearly meant to be very bad and
hmm
put it on a pedestal and be like, "Oh, this is so good." The only one that's coming to mind right now is people thinking that Lily Potter should have ended up with Snape, which is disturbing since he was a Nazi and it's really racist and stuff. So,
uh-huh.
but it happens frequently that they'll be like, "Oh, this terrible person, that's the person we should have ended up with."
Hmm.
That's very fair. Yeah, I don't know. I wait, Haley, what are your thoughts on the same thing? Because you had a
I
reaction,
don't
and I want to
trust
hear them.
Snape sympathizers. I simply don't. Like, not only was he a Nazi, even if you want to be like, oh, he faked it, he was also like incredibly abusive to every freaking student.
Mhm.
So like,
Even the ones he like claimed he liked.
Yeah.
Like he was still mean to like Slytherin kids.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So anyone who says Snape is a hero, I don't trust it.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
Now what about Draco?
I think Draco's pretty bad, but I do think he could be redeemable. It didn't happen in
Okay.
the books, but I think that it could have been because he had like almost like brainwashed, like brought up in this life that he didn't necessarily choose and doesn't know how to escape. There were a lot of
Mhm.
hints
Fair
of that in the sixth book, but then J.K. Rowling didn't commit to it,
Fair.
which is fine.
How about you, Hayley?
You don't have to redeem the bully character.
That's fair.
I thought it would have been really cool if she redeemed him because, like you said, she did start it where like you see him question the choices he's like being forced into making. And then he's like sort of, I don't know if you read or saw The Cursed Child.
I read it,
Either of you?
unfortunately.
Yeah, so then he's like a part of the gang
Yep.
and we're supposed to just accept it. So like he had that redemption arc canonically, but we did not see it. We should have seen it.
Yeah.
I don't remember like the later books as well as I remember the earlier books because I definitely reread those ones more. But like all I remember is his like bet on it, not bet on it. Scream. It's the third movie equivalent of that. But his like scream moment in the bathroom where he's like then gets caught by Harry and he's like,
Oh, yeah.
just kidding, now I'm gonna make you bleed kind of thing. And it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It was just never well done in the movies. um but like people really think that it was well done in the movies because they're like he looked back at like at the end. It's like
It's interesting because I think that it's all the seeds are there for redemption arc, and it just wasn't finalized. Like even in the seventh
Yeah.
book, he doesn't give away Hermione, even though he recognizes her
Mhm.
to the Death Eaters. And
mhm,
I feel like there's this moment where he could have like freed them, and it could have turned into like a Zuko situation.
right.
But he doesn't, and then he tries to kill Harry at the end in the castle. So it's like, well, everything was there for you to be redeemed, and then you fell back into or you just, it wasn't there. It didn't finalize, which is odd.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fair.
But I know J.K. Rowling said like an interview that she didn't want to redeem him because he had this like childhood bully, and she didn't think people should be like, oh, he's so great now. I don't know. I don't trust what she says.
She
She put it all there. I don't know how you could be like, I didn't want to redeem him. It's all there in the plan. She just didn't finish
she
it.
also like redeemed Dudley at the very end,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
like abused Harry his entire life. So okay.
And put in the whole redemption, quote unquote, for Snape. So like he
Yeah.
did it for all these other really terrible characters.
Arguably more terrible. I don't know. I
Arguably
feel like
more
Dudley and
terrible.
like Draco are kind of even, depending on how you look at it. But like Snape
Like,
is worse.
yeah, especially for Snape. Like at least for Draco, we see the redemption arc progressing as it could have been. But for Snape, it's just like,
Right.
and he was good.
Yeah, he cried one time, guys. Oh my god. Fair. I feel like you can see a lot of like the toxic relationships though, even in just like a lot of the will they won't they tropes. Because it's like some of those get so awful to each other. I'm thinking a lot of Friends.
Yeah.
With the Ross and Rachel
Yeah.
bit. But like,
Mhm.
yeah. I don't know.
I think that's
I think
part
the
of
only
just the sitcom problem of having to go for so long.
yeah.
I like it. Like New Rule is a good example of how not to do that necessarily, because
Right.
like they kind of do it with Jess and Nick, but I feel like it's not a will they won't they. It's like explicitly they
Right.
tried it, it didn't work, and then they eventually were like, no,
They
wait,
saw other
let's try
people
it again.
and
Yeah.
then got together. Yeah. And it's like that's fine. And that one I think is like a good example. It like sometimes leans a little into the like bad nature of it, but it quickly steers out of it. I think
Mhm.
the only like really well done will they won't they is Kim Possible and Unstoppable. I'll die on that hill. Because like as soon as they get together, it's not like, oh my god, we have relationship problems every episode. They have one episode where they have relationship problems, and it's just that he's a little insecure because she's a lot more badass than he is. And then he's like, oh, I guess she likes me for me. And then they're happy for the rest of the show. Oh man. It's a great show. But yeah, who's to say?
I was trying to think of um, recent examples because I feel like this was a much bigger problem when we were younger.
Right.
Like I don't know, my high school, middle school, whereas nowadays shows aimed at that same demographic don't do it as much. Although they definitely still do, like we talk about Stranger Things and Riverdale, but it's not to the same extent that shows like Pretty Little Liars or Gossip Girl did it.
For sure. What are the like shows for like younger audiences?
That was also my question, Haley.
Haley?
Outer Banks, I think, is
Okay.
a new really big one.
Never watched.
Not new, but like
Okay.
There was a
you
second
know,
season like last year or this year,
yeah.
recently.
So it's like relatively new. Because it came out during the pandemic, so like
Mhm.
people went crazy over that. I am not an avid TV watcher.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's totally fine. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, and maybe this is just me, and maybe this is just the way that my tastes have happened, or maybe it's true. I'm gonna ask you guys. Is I think a lot of like Pretty Little Liars esque viewers, uh, whether it be like the same demographic now or like those viewers older, um, are now doing like reality shows. Like I feel like it's like the same group of people are now very into a lot of like the Netflix reality shows and like dating shows and stuff. Because I've been hearing, and again, I don't know if this is just like the people that I'm hanging out with at this point in my life versus the people I hung out with in like middle school and high school, but I'm hearing like a lot more about like Bachelor and Love is Blind and like Love Island and stuff like
Yeah.
that, than I am about uh actual like shows.
Yeah, I think that's true. Especially for The
Not that that
Bachelor.
helps with the toxic relationships because it is just like other toxic
Although
relationships.
I do
But
think that maybe I don't know about The Bachelor, but at least I was thinking like Too Out to Handle.
uh-huh.
For the most part, you're aware that these are pretty terrible
Bad people.
and they
Right.
might like in Too Out to Handle, they might improve a little
Okay.
over the course of the
Uh-huh.
show, but it's explicitly these are bad people. The relationships they have are usually bad, and you are reveling in the badness.
So when I went to Illinois, I was like hanging out with people and they were finishing a show called F Boy Island. I don't know if you guys know this show or not.
No.
I had never heard of it in my life until I had them do a dramatic like recap of everything so far, and then I
Good.
just jumped in at the finale. And it was basically like there's 3 girls, and then 6 guys, and so there's 3 self-proclaimed nice guys and 3 self-proclaimed F boys, and
This says it's
like
24 guys.
okay, I guess by the finale it was only 6.
But yeah, three women, 24 guys.
Yeah.
Half are F boys, and the other half are nice guys, quote unquote.
Right. And it's like the nice guys are in it for love, the F boys might be in it for money type of thing. And it's like
Mhm.
if you go with an F boy in the end, they have the opportunity to say, I don't want to be with you, I just want the money. Or they could like split the money with you kind of thing. And that one was absolutely crazy. But yeah, what a world. I won't do spoilers because I don't know if you guys want to watch it or not.
I don't want to watch it. It's on HBO Max apparently.
Yeah.
So HBO getting in on the reality show game.
Getting in on there.
Trying to catch up
But
to Netflix,
I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah, I was trying to think if I've like seen that equivalent or like that kind of thing portrayed because I remember like a lot of stuff at least when we were in middle school and high school like you'd always hear the whole like nice guys finish last thing. I think that's finally died down, she says, hopefully. But like
I don't think nice guys have gone away.
no, but I think that saying has like people aren't with
Yes.
that mentality all the time. Like
I think people still have that mentality.
okay.
Because
Fair. Um,
There's a different term now, but I don't remember what
oh,
it is. But it's definitely the like, because I think the nice guys kind of fall into that same like, if I do something for a girl, then
mhm,
I deserve a relationship. Um,
sure.
and I think that's what it's turned into. So it's still the same mentality as before. It's just different like language surrounding it.
Right. I think like a lot of that kind of mentality came from media. Um, and so I was
Yeah.
trying to think if like any of the other stuff, um, if we like saw it, because like obviously inappropriately aged relationships existed before movies
Yes.
did. Um, like that's just always been an unfortunate reality. Um, but I don't know. I was trying to think if any of the other stuff like came from media, or was popularized by media. But
I don't know. I mean, I really do think it's this vicious cycle of portraying really bad relationships, and then that's what you want. So people writing those relationships continue to write them, and it keeps
mhm.
furthering itself. But I don't know. I don't know about that specific trend.
Okay, wait. One last little topic, and then we'll do a rain or a parade because I feel like this one would be good for both of you. Um, I want to talk about tropes,
Hmm.
and I want to talk about enemies to lovers because it's dangerously close to a couple of things we've talked about.
Yeah,
Um, and then
dangerously close.
dangerously close. Um, and then just I want to hear you guys' like favorite tropes. Um,
Like relationship tropes, just tropes in general.
yeah, or yeah, do whatever you want. Take it however you want. I like that there was only one bad trope.
Okay.
A lot.
That's maybe one of my favorite tropes. It's a very good one.
It's such a fun trope.
Um,
Oh my
I
god.
hate enemies to lovers
Oh, okay.
because it's so close to abusive relationship that like the idea of starting as like enemies who hate each other is just like inches from crossing the line into an abusive relationship. And I get the whole like they improve and love each other, so it's not that, but I think it can easily become that, and especially if whoever is writing it is not talented at writing that type of relationship, it can easily just be they're really terrible to each other and suddenly they're in love.
Hmm.
So I am not a fan of it. I know it's incredibly popular, especially on
That's
TikTok.
fair.
Um, my favorite relationship trope, besides the "and there was only one bed," which is just
There was only
fun.
one bad.
I like just friends to lovers. I think that's
Uh-huh.
better. Um,
That's fair.
like
Yeah.
Ron Stoppable and Kim Possible. That
Iconic.
a long-standing friend relationship before you get into a romantic one, I think, is much better.
Okay, fair. How about you, Haley?
I am a big enemies to lovers fan.
Don't worry, me too.
I think when it's really done well, it's great. I don't know if you've read The Hating Game or like heard of the movie. There's a movie
Mm-mm.
coming out. It's basically about like these two publishing companies that like suddenly have to merge. And so everyone has sort of like a double of their position. Like there's two of everyone. And so there are these two people who are sort of like assistant, like chief editors, sort of,
Mm-hmm.
that are trying to work their way up to the top. And so they're like constantly competing against each other and like they're both super competitive. So it's like a fun dynamic
Yeah,
and in like the workplace sort of thing, like if Jim and Pam were competing.
yeah.
And so like yeah.
Yes. I think that
I
that
do like
is
that,
like
like
the best way to do
rivals.
it.
Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
Competitors
best
to
way.
lovers,
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
rivalry. It's not like,
Yes.
Mhm.
oh, I hate you because of all of these things about your personality. And I'm,
Yeah.
Sure.
you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I just want to beat you.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's the right
I'm,
way to do enemies to lovers. All right.
For
Even
sure.
maybe it's not like rivals, competitors, but I think that's the better way to
Mhm.
do it. To be like you
yeah.
hate them for reasons that aren't who they are, which is often what
Yeah.
abusive
Yeah.
love is.
Yeah. That's my first favorite. My second favorite is when one of them has been pining after the other for like a long time. So like the Hunger Games, I love
Mhm.
it. I think
Very
it's great.
fair.
I
Very
like
fair.
the mutual pining that they're both in love with each other and they just
Sure.
somehow don't realize it.
Sure, sure, sure.
Although
Definitely
that can
fair.
become annoying after a certain amount of
Oh.
time.
Yeah.
But it's
That's
entertaining
fair.
if you don't drag it on for too long.
Hmm.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I love it. I saw this post. I think it was on Twitter. Of someone who was like, their now wife like orchestrated that there was only one bed trope. And that's like how they got together. Because like she like had an apartment and she had just gotten a new couch and she was like, I don't want you sleeping on the new couch because like it's new. I don't want to like get it dirty or anything. And so then he was like, oh, I can sleep on the floor, and she was like, no, just sleep in the bed. It's fine. And
That's
like
adorable.
years later, she like admitted to him. She was like, I wouldn't have cared if you slept on the couch. Like, oh my god. Oh man. But yeah, the whole time. Alrighty. Well, let's talk about what rained on our parades this week.
I have a super specific pet peeve, which I'm bringing up because both of you guys are from more rural areas than me. So there isn't coyotes. The correct way to say it is coyotes. Some people say coyotes, particularly in more rural areas, and it infuriates me. Because the correct pronunciation is coyotes. It is a Native American word, and that's how you say it. It's not coyotes.
It's like the same as people who go like worder for
Oh,
water.
water.
They go like worder.
I feel like that's more
Or,
of an
like-
accent than
Yeah,
it
that
is.
seems like an accent.
No.
pronunciation.
Like I know people who like specifically will like try to say that. Like it's not even just the accent, but they just like it's because of Pennsylvania. And I'm like, yeah. Because they'll say other words that are similar, like normal.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a fan. We're saying crick instead of creek.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Coyotes is the only one I can think of. But particularly, I overheard a conversation with this one girl, like, very angrily arguing that coyotes was the correct way to say it. And it
That's tough for
inspired
her.
a furious Google search to make sure I was right. And I am. So, vindication.
Oh my god. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard anyone genuinely say coyote. I think I've only ever heard people say it in a mocking way. Yeah. But
I know
fair enough.
it's more commonly coyotes in rural areas. So I don't know. But I in researching, coyote are more often like vermin in rural areas and dangerous to livestock and stuff. So you might want a more derogatory name for them. And that might be why it's more common.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
But the
Fair
correct way is coyote.
Do we have them on the East Coast? Do you know, Haley?
I myself have never seen one.
Same.
I don't see them around, so maybe
Right.
not.
But I know people from like both the Midwest and West Coast that have like talked about seeing lots of them.
I think there's some
So
in New
I'm just
York.
like, okay.
Yeah, they
Do
cover
they
the
want to be on
whole
Broadway?
they cover all of North America.
Okay. I've just, never seen them.
Hmm.
They're just hiding. I've seen like wolves.
In the wild?
Yeah.
That's
Did you
weirder
go
than seeing a
camping?
coyote.
Like mountains? Not camping.
Oh, okay.
Me camping.
Sorry, I was confused.
No. They're just like hiking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a
Never
coyote.
seen a wolf. There aren't
I
any
don't know.
wolves in Illinois though, so
Yeah, didn't they get rid of them?
yeah, it's depressing. They killed
Yeah,
them all.
really. It's pretty sad. Fair enough. How about you, Haley?
I realized I have a new pet peeve this week. I've been watching a lot of TikTok lately because I'm home, and I was looking for like new recipes to make for
Mhm.
Christmas. And I don't know if they hide it in the comments, but some people just like show them baking the thing without any measurements or like what they're putting in it. So it's like the aesthetic music and they're dumping it and then it's the thing and I'm like, well, okay, well, how do I make it? And like I
Right.
don't want to
Like,
go
I want
searching your
that.
entire profile. Yeah,
Right.
you're clearly showing me how you're making it. Just tell me how to.
Mhm.
Right.
They're just like not considering me, and it's really upsetting.
It's kind of rude.
It does seem
Fair.
like a vital part of the baking to
The
tell you what measurements to use.
And so many of those things are like white: the sugar, the salt, the baking
Mhm.
powder, the baking soda.
Oh,
And
that's
I'm
a
like,
good
which is
point.
it?
Yeah,
I don't know what you're doing.
fair. I'm gonna go with a similarly related baking one. Haley and I made hot chocolate cookies last weekend, and they were really tasty. They were
Sounds
really
really good.
delicious. It was really fun. But the dough is so dry. Like we tried, like we added more water than it said to add because like it was not mixing with the amounts that they said. And I was like, there's just no way that they made this recipe because like ours looked the way that they looked by the end when we added
Yeah,
more water.
yeah. But like without the second dose of water, it just was like
It was not
absolutely
happening.
no mixer could get through it.
No, it was it. Oh man. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. Really good though.
Really good. It
It does sound delicious.
was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was fine though. Yeah. I like we also it's a kind of a bummer because vegan marshmallows don't like melt in the same way that other marshmallows do. But they were still tasty. So
Yeah. So cute.
yeah, I'll take it. Alrighty. Well, don't date your teachers. Don't
Don't
Life
date your
advice.
date
students.
guys that are only mean to you.
If you are
Any other
under
advice?
20, don't date someone who is over 20.
Hey, I think that's fair. Unless you're
thumb.
like, unless they like just turned 21 and like like if you're already dating and
Sure.
they're like, it's like my
Sure.
birthday was yesterday. I can't help
No.
it that I'm 21
Break
now.
up with them.
End it until you're 21.
I think I was thinking that if you like someone who does not remember 9/11 cannot date someone who does remember 9/11. I don't
I
remember
think that's
9/11. I
actually
can't imagine any of us do.
right. Yeah, I know I was like around, but
Yeah.
I wasn't like.
So I think that's like a good judge for people our age.
Uh-huh.
Don't date someone who remembers 9/11.
That's actually a really great way to do it. I'm sure that that exists for like everyone.
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
just saying particularly for our generation, but
Right. Yeah. Sure. Alrighty. Well, that's the new advice. If you're Gen Z, that's how you tell. For like older Gen Z to younger Gen Z is just don't date someone who doesn't remember 9/11. Oh man. Alrighty. Have a sunny Wednesday. Bye.
bye.